Have some incredible headlines to go over with you if you're a crypto holder. We're going to go through the headlines. We're going to look at a Solana chart because there's some big Solana news right now. This is a 4-hour. I want to talk about this wick. This says everything in relation to crypto, and I also want to look at the altcoin market cap chart. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in if you're a macro investor, if you want to manage your risk, if you want to have an idea when to exit, that is take profits. Hit the link below. We have a free trial going on in our intelligence system with all of our risk models, our exit planners. So check that out. But I just want to start the video. We're going to go through a ton of headlines right now, but there's two things I just want to start the video with. I want to read this to you. $132 billion VanEck says Bitcoin is in a mid-cycle reset, not a bear market, citing strong fundamentals and rising adoption. I want to start here because the sentiment, the comments that I get, there are so many people that they're just like, it's game over. The cycle's over. Stop it, Dan. It's over. I want to say I disagree with all those comments, and I agree with VanEck. I think we're in a mid-cycle reset. I don't think the bear market's starting, and we're going to talk about that in this video. Tons of headlines to look at. But with that being said, before we look at the headlines and the charts, I do want to just show you this post that I just saw. And this is kind of a warning. $20 billion in Bitcoin shorts stacked between 110 to 130,000. Funding rates went negative. Bears are about to get absolutely destroyed. Short squeeze of the decade loading. That sounds awesome. And maybe this will play out. We can monitor to see if Bitcoin makes this move towards these liquidation areas for shorts. But I want to be very careful. And again, when we look at the Solana news and Solana charts, I think this is a very good warning of why to be careful. That is to say, when you look at this chart, the altcoin market cap chart, we've been in this higher high, higher low, compression, suppression. Altcoins have not had this bull market breakout yet. And this has been for quite some time now. And I think a lot of it has to do with purposeful suppression. So the reason I'm saying, yeah, we can get hype about potential short squeeze, but we've seen time and time again where a massive move is setting up for an individual altcoin, for altcoin markets, and it just gets suppressed. I do not know how long that will last. I don't know what will flip it to the upside, but I do know we need to be cautious. Let's go through these headlines, and then we'll talk more about that as it relates to the charts. Spot Bitcoin ETFs are seeing net outflows, which have often clustered around local market lows as sentiment unwinds. So you might just see outflows and be like, ooh, that's not good. We want inflows, inflows, inflows. There's going to be inflows and outflows, this fluctuation. But when we start seeing outflows, as you see illustrated on this chart here, this is what has actually marked previous kind of swing lows. When flows stabilize or turn positive, it has historically aligned with renewed demand and the early stages of trend recovery. I just want to mention, here's a recovery back here, March 2025. We're dipping, there's outflows, it's looking terrible. And then it was just kind of another lower low and consolidation. It's kind of like we could be going into a consolidation phase and we don't know how long it'll last. It could be quick and then we're bouncing. It could be kind of longer and sustained like back here in April 2025. Note, we're not in this high tariff fear environment right now. We're kind of in the flip side in terms of narrative. And this is what we can talk about now. All the headlines that are going on right now as we continue Q4 into early next year. White House says it's ending all unnecessary regulations for Bitcoin and crypto. There's a headline. So keep in mind the Clarity Act, the market structure, everything that's happening right now for crypto is going to unlock trillions of dollars flooding into the crypto space. The government just reported, this is today, inflation at 3%. Anthony Pompliano pointing out it's wrong. Truflation is showing inflation is actually at 2.3%. CPI is broken, an inaccurate metric. Stop looking at it. And I completely agree. You want to take an approach where we're looking at a different type of data presentation that Truflation offers. CPI data at this point, how could we even possibly trust CPI data being accurate? So even still, the 3% was lower than expected, and Truflation showing 2.3%. We look at that, tariffs have not caused this insane just increase in inflation. Such a surprise because since April and all of the tariff fear, I was told that inflation was going to be out of control. It's not. We have big JP Morgan news happening right now. 2024, and this is for some context, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said, Bitcoin is a fraud and a Ponzi scheme. today, JP Morgan announced it will allow institutional clients to use Bitcoin as collateral. Here it is, JP Morgan to allow its institutional clients to use Bitcoin and Ether as collateral for loans as crypto continues to get absorbed into Wall Street's plumbing. So here's kind of the release of this news today. And isn't it interesting, everybody, how the tune has changed so much when it comes to a lot of these institutions? You can never see a JP Morgan or any other headline and trust it, because they can say whatever they want over the years and at the same time be accumulating. And I'm not saying that was happening, but that can very well be what was happening. So we have to watch what they're doing, not so much what they're saying. And that's a really good illustration of that. Fidelity, one of the world's largest asset managers with some $6 trillion assets under management, is now offering spot Solana trading and custody. Also now educating everyday investors on Solana, quickly heading down path to where investors can own spot crypto right alongside usual TradFi investments. And so again, I want to revisit this. Mid-cycle reset, not a bear market. Not just because of these headlines, everybody, but we've been monitoring, if we go to the altcoin market cap chart, the fundamentals from a business cycle, what was going on with QE, what were we just in years and years of QT, and now we're shifting out of that into a post QT. So there are so many things right now. We just covered it in yesterday's video. Over $7 trillion sitting in money markets. As interest rates start coming down the rest of this year into next year, what is that going to mean for risk on? Because that money that's sitting in those money market accounts, as yield starts coming down, they're going to want access, they're going to want exposure to more risk on assets like crypto, Bitcoin. What does this mean? So here's the Solana news. We just looked at it, and here's a Solana chart. It's like a really good illustration of what's going on in crypto right now. Doesn't matter the news. It doesn't matter how good the news is, how bullish it is. A headline that would once have just moved Solana, right? That headline is insane. You can just see, nope, not going to happen, rejection. And for me, for all of you, you just have to ask yourself, why is that? And you can come up with your own thesis, right, of why that is. You can come up with your own guessing game of why that is. I know I have my opinion on why it is. And it's simply because they're just not going to let it break out until they want it to break out. That's what I think. Because as we make this transition, Wall Street coming on board, trillions getting ready to be unlocked because of pro-crypto legislation, the altcoin ETF's not approved yet. I just think they want to keep prices as low as possible, as everybody's kind of expecting a breakout, myself included. I'm really in anticipation of a bull market for crypto, but they're just doing their thing. That's what I think. Here's another one. JP Morgan expects the Fed to end QT during this month's FOMC meeting. So that's kind of a pivot to what I want to talk about in terms of the altcoin market cap chart. What is happening here? The coiling. Altcoin just had a 3-year higher high, higher low bear market. I know that makes no sense because we know bear markets consist of lower highs and lower lows. I get it. But we've been in a bear market. This is higher high, higher low bear market. And you don't have to contest me on that. I realize the definition does not make sense, but I'm calling it the coiling because this chart has been coiling through quantitative tightening, and that quantitative tightening at the confluence of all these other headlines is about to come to an end, everybody. Now it's about to come to an end. Fed to end QT, liquidity cycle turning, the Clarity Act. We've seen a lot of stuff about market structure in recent days. Institutions preparing. We've just talked about that. Altcoin ETFs, next wave. It's incoming. All those approvals just waiting on standby as the government continues to be shut down. Isn't that interesting timing? Macro risk is easing. Not because we're looking at quantitative easing, right? If you go to the Fed balance sheet, I do not even think we need to see, as we see this has been multi-year quantitative tightening, I don't think we need to see a QE, just crazy chart like that for a bull market. We could just have the end of QT, right? A post-QT normalization, just like we had a post-QE normalization bull market back here. That's what I'm thinking. Retail, 100% still asleep, whether that's engagement that you see on socials, not just mine, whether that's the comments that you do see in socials, go look at the comments below this video. Retail is still asleep. This is not what you see at the top of bull markets and the beginning of bear markets. It's just not. Big money is accumulating, as we know. So this is the coiling. That's what's happening on the altcoin market cap chart. And it doesn't even matter which one you look at, but here we are looking at the one that is excluding Bitcoin and stable coins. And so the question is when? I don't know. Nobody does. And this whole entire move, nobody has known. Last year, we thought this was going to be the big breakout for a bull market. It didn't happen. And again, that is why this is the coiling. That's what's happening right now. So we might have continued consolidation. We have the 200-week moving average down at 740 billion. Is there going to be another mass liquidation event that brings us down? For me, that does not signal the beginning of the bear market. It just doesn't. Not with what we're about to enter as we go into the rest of Q4 and into 2026, as we study things like the bull market. So I'm going to just continue to agree with companies like VanEck and their analysis of these markets. I don't think the bear market is starting, and I think we have a very strong fundamental play, a value play ahead of us for just the crypto market in general, Bitcoin and altcoins. These are my thoughts today. Let me know your thoughts below. Hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way out if you enjoyed the content, and if you're not in our intelligence system with our risk models, there's the altcoin risk model sitting at a very nice moderate buy 20. Insanely low, everybody. So check us out. We have the free trial going on. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.